Kuala Lumpur is known as one of the best value cities in Asia, if not in the entire world. Everybody talks about how cheap it is to live here, so I decided to try it out. For the past few weeks, I've been living here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and last week I decided to track every single one of my expenses. So in this video, I'll answer the question, how much does it cost to live in Kuala Lumpur for 1 week? And keep in mind, this isn't just for one person. I actually have my girlfriend with me, so this is for 2 people, and if you wanted to find the price of one, probably reduce this by about 40%. With that said, let's get into the video. Let's start from Monday and go all the way to Sunday and talk about every single thing I spent in Kuala Lumpur over the last week. So we need to start by talking about accommodation. Now I'm living here in Kuala Lumpur for 1 month, so I rented an Airbnb for about $2,600 US. Now for the week, that means it's about $650 US, and that's about 2,800 ringgit. Now for the rest of this video, I'm going to talk in ringgit, which is the local currency here in Malaysia, and I'll put the US dollar equivalent up on screen. Now it's worth noting that this place is quite expensive for Kuala Lumpur. You could get something equivalent for probably $1,500 per month, and if you're really on a budget, you can definitely find great options for just $1,000 a month or even $500 per month, depending on where you're looking. Obviously, using Airbnb, I'm going to pay a higher price, but I just wanted to make sure I had a nice large place with a separate area where I could put my kind of office and desk setup, so I ended up spending a little bit more. So that's 2,800 ringgit for 1 week of accommodation. Now let's start our week on Monday. Now on Monday, I actually began not in Kuala Lumpur, but in the Genting Highlands. Now this is a place that's about an hour away from Kuala Lumpur. It's a great weekend trip. I went with my girlfriend, and the reason for that is they have a casino there. They have this big kind of like resort going on. They have some great hotels, some great dinner options, and they have like a theme park or an amusement park, something like a mini version of Disney. So on Monday, we actually went to that amusement park. I'll put up some videos and photos on screen, and for the 2 of us, the tickets for that were 480 ringgit. Then within the amusement park, we had kind of a breakfast or a brunch that was 76 ringgit, and then we spent 1 night in Genting Highlands, and that cost us 400 ringgit for a hotel that was directly in the resort. Moving on from there, we had dinner. We went to a pretty famous restaurant. They have chains all over the world called Din Tai Fung. This was quite expensive, and it was 264 ringgit for 2 people, and we ate a absolutely massive amount of food that probably would have been enough for about 4 people. After that, we decided to go bowling because they have kind of like a huge mall and just a ton of activities in this area. So we spent 56 ringgit to go bowling for 2 people for about 1 hour. Then we went to this cool video game arcade. We probably stayed there for about 3 hours, and for the 2 of us to play a bunch of different video games. We did VR, we did racing, we played some Fortnite. That was about 175 ringgit. Lastly, we ended off the night spending 40 ringgit for 2 ice creams for 2 people, and that completed Monday with a large total of 1,449 ringgit. Now to quickly reflect on this, obviously this isn't something you would do every week, but I wanted to do kind of an exciting week for you guys and share with you a bunch of cool things you can do when you're in Malaysia. So hopefully this video will be a little bit more exciting, and it will actually share with you a few cool things that you can do. So 1,449 ringgit. If we had stayed home, obviously we could have spent 0, but that's us really not looking at the price, doing a ton of different activities, having the entire day packed, and overall not that expensive considering what you would have to spend if you were in a place like Disneyland in the US, or you were going to any other kind of amusement park or places in Singapore. Overall, very affordable considering the amount of stuff that we did. Now moving on to Tuesday. Now today we checked out of the hotel that we had in the Genting Highlands, and we took a grab back to the Airbnb in Kuala Lumpur. Now that grab cost 67 ringgit, and that was for about an hour drive. Then we decided to get breakfast. This was at a pretty high-end place very close to our Airbnb, and that cost 72 ringgit for 2 people. That's drinks, food, everything. So actually very affordable, even though this place was not, local Malaysian food. Now after that, we actually went and did a tour of the Petronas Towers. Now you have to buy tickets for these pretty far in advance, so we bought them the day that we landed in Kuala Lumpur, which is about 2 weeks ago. And for the tickets, that was 96 ringgit for 2 people. So I guess 98 ringgit per person. This involved going up the towers, you got to go to the sky bridge, you went to one of the higher levels, take a bunch of photos, and then you go down. It's probably about 45 minutes long. Wasn't the most exciting thing in the world, but I think worth it, especially if you're going to be in Kuala Lumpur for a long period of time. Now after that, we decided to grab dinner in the mall, which is how you access the kind of twin towers, and that cost 124 ringgit, again for 2 people, and that's us getting drinks, food, etc. Lastly, we decided to grab a few pastries as kind of desserts that we could have later on. So we got, I think, maybe like 2 or 3 pieces of cake and some croissants, and that was 57 ringgit. So overall, the entire day on Tuesday cost us 516 ringgit, but a lot of that was because we went out, we went to the Petronas Towers, we had that grab coming home. So if we hadn't done any of that, it would have only cost us maybe 250 ringgit, kind of eating out for all of our meals. Now we move on to Wednesday. Now on Wednesday, we simply stayed at home. I worked, we watched some TV, we hung out, and we just ate some food that we had in the fridge. So we spent no money on Wednesday. However, if you want to consider the food that we ate, maybe we spent 30 ringgit or 40 ringgit. Groceries are actually super cheap in Kuala Lumpur, so I'm just going to say on Wednesday we spent 0 ringgit. Moving on to Thursday. Now on Thursday, we had no food left in the Airbnb, so we decided to go out for breakfast where we spent 119 ringgit. After that, we decided to go grocery shopping so I could share with you guys how much groceries cost. And we bought about probably 8 days worth of groceries, which cost 350 ringgit. Now we got a lot of food for this amount of money. I can't imagine ever getting that amount of food in a place like Canada, US, or even in the UAE. So I was super surprised at how much value you can get if you actually do your own cooking. And that was us buying a lot of meat, not really looking at the prices of different items, buying fresh fruits like blueberries and mangoes and stuff that's not super cheap. So if you were trying to be, a lot more cost effective, you could definitely shop for significantly cheaper and still have some pretty decent meals. Now after that, we took a 25 ringgit grab to go to one of the malls. Now I can't remember the name of the mall, but this had kind of like a Japanese theme and they had a bunch of cool stores and activities there. So we decided to go roller skating or rollerblading, and for 3 hours, I believe, that was 120 ringgit. So 60 ringgit per person. We only stayed there for about an hour, but that was kind of a fun activity. After that, they had a cool cat cafe that was in the mall, so we decided to go over there. In the cat cafe, it was 30 ringgit per person, I believe, for 45 minutes or something like that. And then we got 2 drinks, which I think were another maybe 20 ringgit each. So that was that. And then lastly, we decided to go buy a puzzle. So we wanted something to do just for the next few days. So we bought a 1,000-piece puzzle, which was 140 ringgit, probably the same price it would be in a place like the US. And then we actually decided to take the LRT home just so I could see how much it cost, and it was 4 ringgit and 80 cents, and that is about 2 ringgit 40 per person. So it was super cheap. It actually was quite fast, and it was super convenient and kind of easy to navigate and go on. So there you go. That was Thursday. We did a bunch of stuff, and that cost us a total of 814 ringgit. Now keep in mind, almost half of that is groceries, the rest is simply activities, and that was us spending hours upon hours going out, doing a bunch of different activities, again, not really looking at the price. Overall, I would say pretty affordable and pretty good value. So now we move on to Friday. Now on Friday, we didn't do anything again because we had went out the day before, we ate groceries at home, and we spent 0 ringgit. Now moving on to Saturday. Now on Saturday, we decided to go out and meet up with a friend that we had in Kuala Lumpur, and we were going to meet at one of these kind of food market streets. Now on the way there, we actually just walked there because it was pretty close from our place. We spent 50 ringgit by popping into a bar, grabbing a beer, playing a little bit of pool. Then we actually went to the food street. Again, I apologize, I don't know what the name of it is, but they have all these kind of random vendors. They have a bunch of really cheap food. They've got candy, they've got durians everywhere. It was actually a cool experience. There was a ton of people there. It was super busy. And we bought a bunch of kind of random food. So first we went to this kind of like candy booth where we spent 25 ringgit for these like kind of sticks with, chocolate covered strawberries and stuff like that. Then after that, I went and tried to order some duck. So I went to this kind of random Chinese looking place and ordered some duck and some French fries. That was 58 ringgit. Actually, I got a beer as well there. So pretty cheap. I just wanted to try out that food. And then we went out for dinner. Now there was kind of a local barbecue place. There was 3 of us, and for all 3 of us, it ended up being 136 ringgit. And that was ordering, again, a massive amount of food, like way more food than we could actually eat. We had chicken, we had rice, we had all these random like crab sticks and fish sticks and just a ton of food. I'll try to pop up a photo on the screen so you can see what it looks like. And then it was kind of later in the night, and I decided to go and get a massage. So my girlfriend and I went and did a massage that was 75 ringgit each, so 150 ringgit in total for a 1 hour kind of full body Thai massage. And then lastly, we actually ended off the night by going to the club. Now they have a very famous club in Kuala Lumpur called the Pit. This is actually, I believe, the top 66 club in the world or something along those lines. It's got really cool lasers. The entrance fee for that, I believe, was 65 ringgit for me, free for ladies. That included one drink, and then we bought a bunch of drinks while we were at the club, and between the two of us, it ended up being about 300 ringgit in total to go out and spend a few hours at this club. Now, that's not me getting a table or a bottle or doing anything crazy. We just wanted to go and listen to the music and kind of see the cool light show and lasers that were going on. So there you go. That ends Saturday, and on that day, we spent 719 ringgit. So now we move on to Sunday. On Sunday again, we spent 0 ringgit. We stayed at home and we ate the groceries that we had ordered the previous day. So that will wrap up that week, and the grand total, the total amount of money we spent the entire week on purely activities, that hotel for one night, groceries, all of that stuff, not including the Airbnb, was 3,500 ringgit. So that equates to less than 1,000 USD. And then if we include the Airbnb in that, which was about 2,800 ringgit, we spent in total about 6,300 ringgit for 1 week in Kuala Lumpur. And keep in mind, that is us going out and doing a bunch of activities, not looking at the price, me buying food for not just one person, but sometimes 2 or 3 people, getting random things like puzzles, going and doing roller skating, going to the casino in Genting Highlands and going to this amusement park. And that brings the grand total in US dollars to about 1,450 USD. So in my opinion, extremely cheap, super affordable. I usually spend significantly more than this on a week-by-week basis, and if I was in a place like Dubai trying to do these same level of activities, this would easily be double if not triple the price. Not to mention the accommodation alone is super cheap, even though we're spending more than most people typically do in Kuala Lumpur. So if we go on the current track, I'm going to spend about 6,000 US dollars in Malaysia, and again, that's not looking at the price, that's not being budget conscious, and that's staying in a pretty expensive place accommodation wise. So overall, I have to say Malaysia has been a really great value place so far. There's a lot of awesome stuff to do even just outside of Kuala Lumpur, like the Genting Highlands, which so far has been really a highlight of my trip here. And I'm going to be making a video soon kind of going over what I think of Malaysia overall, but generally speaking, very good value. I think you can do a lot of really fun stuff for really cheap, and if you are on a budget, this is definitely a place to go to. So with that said, guys, let me know what you think of the video. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.